Or Genius.
It might be Genius.
On the left side, Trevor Williams, white, red, black tokens. You're probably wondering what's in here, just like I am. 4 Doom Traveler, 4 Hell Rider, 2 Falkenrath Aristocrat, 4 Intangible Virtue. I think that one's pretty obvious. You're also going to find 4 Lingering Souls and 4 Midnight Haunting, 2 Bonfire, 3 Dreadbore, 4 Gather the Townsfolk, 4 Pillar of Flames, 1 Tragic Slip, and believe it or not, a sideboard.
Well,
15 cards.
I think we know who has the advantage.
Yeah, without question. So 15 extra cards certainly can't hurt. And I know when we are done with this particular game, as both players are 3-0, we will go over the sideboards. Casey's will be a little short. That's why I gave you that deck. Make it easy for you.
It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because on paper I would say Trevor has the advantage because he can clog up the board until he draws a Bonfire or some of his more powerful. So he also has Intangible Virtue, which is really good in his deck. But you know, Casey can get some pretty aggressive draws. And as you can see with the turn 1 Falcon.
As we're going to see a Gather the Townsfolk, a card I've not seen for a little while. A card I actually think is going to see more play once the new set comes out because of Battalion and just some other reasons here.
Well, it's exciting in this matchup because Trevor has Intangible Virtue, but Casey's an aggressive deck, so we could actually see the Fateless Hour come into play here.
Yeah. Make 5 tokens, and we're going to see a Champion of the Parish here. Turning on the War Falcon. War Falcon's going to be able to come across for 2 in the air. Going to be knocking Trevor down to 18. But we are going to see, as he has an Intangible Virtue in his hand, we'll probably see that as you guys see Gather the Townsfolk on the screen.
Oh, and he draws a Blood Crypt, which is a something that Trevor definitely needed, considering his hand has a Hell Rider in it. Yeah, it looks like the mana's pretty awkward in this deck, but doesn't seem to matter that much considering he's got an Intangible Virtue. And it looks like it may be another token generator.
Alright, so there's our Blood Crypt. And there's our Intangible Virtue. Okay. So we're going to be coming in here for 4. There are 2/2s and they do have Vigilance. This card was deemed too good for block control.
And
banned.
Definitely was.
Yeah. Like far and away too good?
Yeah.
Okay.
The format would have been much worse if they let that card stay.
I think that format would have been basically based around Intangible Virtue and Lingering Souls if both those cards would have stayed unbanned.
Don't really see other decks like Naya competing with them.
But Bonfire.
That's true. There is Bonfire.
Good card. So we do see Thalia here. And now we're going to see War Falcon come across. Champion, not a good attacker, as it would just trade with one of those 2/2 human tokens. So across comes the War Falcon in the air, and Thalia does a nice job of holding off those tokens for now. But again, this token deck can make so many tokens that it may just might not end up mattering.
And it looks like he has a second red for the Hell Rider. Not sure if he wants to cast it or cast the other Gather in his hand. Chooses to attack.
He's going to go with the Hell Rider. It's beatdown time, Osip. Oh no, it's not attacking. Don't make me look stupid. Yes, there we go. 3 triggers from the Hell Rider. So we're going to have 3 damage here. Delta Casey, and now he gets to choose how he wants to block. If he's going to double block Hell Rider.
I don't think he can afford to double block here. He's got to just take out one of the tokens and take 5 damage.
It's going to push him down to 8.
You know, if he has a Gather of his own, it's actually not that bad. He can just get the precinct cap, the champion to 4 power, then he can hold off both those attackers and still go through the air. And there's a Geist.
And you can see he had to take 2 from that, so he does have to move down to 4, or to 6, excuse me. Champion obviously not pumping, but the Howl Fountain, the 2 damage there, certainly not free. Could come back to hurt him now. We are going to see a War Falcon come across again. Are we going to see this? We are. Okay.
Interesting.
So we see a champion come across as well, just basically saying, would you like to block with one of your tokens? You see Dreadbore in Trevor's hand. to go along with, I believe, another Intangible Virtue and a Plains. That might be a Gather the Townsfolk, however, for Trevor. You see Trevor analyzing the board state, deciding if he has any reason to block. I don't think he does.
Yeah, I don't see why you want to block here. You definitely need to be able to attack with both your guys so you can drop him to 4 and put him in a position where he has to block at least one of the creatures. He probably blocks the token with Thalia and then maybe just takes 3 and hopes to somehow finish Trevor off on Casey's turn, but I'm not sure Casey has enough to be able to do anything. I mean, if he drops Trevor to 12, he can do 6 in the air with the Dice token and the War Falcon. Yeah, I'm not sure what his plan is.
But I
think he needed to try to trade the Hell Rider this turn.
Yeah. See, isolated Chapel, the draw step here for Trevor to go along with that Dreadbore, that Plains, and that Gather the Townsfolk. Chapel going to come into play untapped because of a Plains.
I think it's just Dreadbore, the Thalia, Gather, attack.
Yeah, I think that's my line of play here as well.
Geist is forced to trade with the token. Casey goes to 1, and he's pretty much dead next turn. He has no answer to Hell Rider.
You see Trevor has the Dreadbore in his hand. Looking like he's ready to pull the trigger. He just can't decide on what right now.
I think he's afraid because the fact that Casey was aggressive last turn. I think Trevor is wondering, is there a way he could actually kill me? Is there a way he can deal 12 somehow?
Yeah.
But the truth is, there's really not much the white-blue deck can do, especially with only 3 mana. I mean, Sublime Archangel can threaten to do a lot of damage, but you know, he doesn't have a 4th land, and there's just simply not enough creatures in play for the Exalted to really be effective. So, yeah, I don't really think there's any other choice for Trevor here.
And you see, Trevor comes to the same conclusion that we do. He takes care of the Thalia with the Dreadbore. He does serve in. The 2 Hell Rider triggers will knock Casey down to 4, and of course he has to block now, as he's facing lethal. And I think Casey, laughing there, coming to the same conclusion as well of, I don't really want to lose my Geist, but I have to. This is a lethal attack.
It makes the attack with the champion even more awkward because he could have at least traded with the Hell Rider. And like I said, he has no answer to Hell Rider.
Yep.
So when you're this low, Hell Rider will kill you eventually.
And you are going to see another Gather the Townsfolk here after combat, putting 2 more guys into play, 2 more 2/2s with Vigilance.
Like, that's the thing. If he's able to kill the Hell Rider, then Gather's Fateful Hour could actually clog up the board for him, give him a couple of turns. Maybe he can get something going with the War Falcon drawing a Spectral Flight, but you know, he doesn't really have many outs now because the Hell Rider's still in play.
And he is going to concede, so Casey is down a game here to Trevor Williams and his white-red-black token deck, and unfortunately for Casey, he doesn't have any cards he can bring in to help him.
Yeah, literally, he has no cards in his sideboard. It's not like he has all anti-control cards or all anti-graveyard cards. He has no cards in his sideboard.
Decide against it.
I'm not sure if his pen just ran out of ink or he's just very bold, but he decided to enter this tournament without a sideboard, which, you know, he's 3-0, so something's going right.
So what do we know?
Yeah, what do we know?
That's the question. Taking a look, however, at Trevor's sideboard, for this particular matchup, let's see what we got here. Lazelle's Conscripts, Bonfire of the Damned, Rally the Peasants. He's got another copy of Dreadbore, 2 Oblivion Rings, 2 Michaelis, 2 Nevermore, 2 Rakdos Return. I think the 2 Bonfires are easy cards to include here. Rally the Peasants with tokens is obviously a combo. I'm not entirely sure this is where he needs that to be, though. Wouldn't want Rakdos Return. Zealous Conscripts is a little bit expensive. Michaelis is a card that can kind of dominate a board state if he's able to get in that situation where things get gummed up a little bit. I didn't really see anything else that I would really want here. The Dreadbore was okay that game, but I don't think you'd want a 4th copy of it.
Yeah, I don't love Dreadbore. I think I'd probably take out the Aristocrats for the Bonfires. Don't think you need them in this matchup. I think they're probably pretty bad. And I think that's it. I mean, maybe I'd cut a Dreadbore for a 1 Machias.
Okay. Still want the Tragic Slip?
Probably. I like Machias a lot in this matchup. So I would try to fit him in if I could. I just don't know. Trevor, hopefully Trevor's paying attention to the fact that Casey is not boarding in any cards. So,
yeah.
You know, if he's aware of that, then maybe he doesn't need to worry about Planeswalkers as much. There's not that many creatures that he wants to 1-for-1. So I think Dreadbore's pretty bad. So I think bringing in Bonfire Machias for like maybe all the Dreadbores and the Tragic Slip might be good. But I just think Aristocrat's pretty bad in this matchup. I'd probably just take out 2 Aristocrats, 1 Dreadbore, and 1 Tragic Slip, or 2 Bonfires and 2 Machias.
Okay.
So at least you have 2 Dreadbores if you want to kill a Thalia or something. But don't think you really need it.
We do see both players keep 7 here. We're going to see Casey start off with a Hallowed Fountain, go down to 18, and play a turn 1 Champion of the Parish. The best thing that his deck can certainly do on turn 1 here.
Ooh, and he has the Pillar, but he does not have turn 1 red, which is a problem that we had in block at Barcelona, because you want to be able to kill that champion on turn 1, but you just don't have enough red mana to reliably cast the Pillar of Flames. And then if they cast a Gather the Townsfolk, then suddenly your Pillar's just out of the range for the champion.
I'm sure that probably came up a lot, actually.
Yeah, that was one of the most frustrating things about the Naya deck when you're playing against champion decks, because you want to be able to kill that champion on turn 1, but Pillar's just not good enough. And here's another way it gets out of Pillar range.
It's not Gather the Townsfolk, but it is just as good. It is a Spectral Flight, which is going to give the Champion of the Parish +2/+2 and flying. So he's going to be coming across for 3 here. And the point that you're making there with the turn 1 red mana, Trevor's deck has 2 Mountains, 4 Blood Crypts. That's it.
That's it, yeah. So you're not casting Pillar of Flames on turn 1 very often.
And now Pillar of Flame is just not going to do it. As you guys do see Spectral Flight on the screen, typically used in combination with Geist-Insane Trap, but right now, plenty good. Plenty good to get the job done, making a 3/3 flyer on turn 2. Now, the interesting thing about Trevor's deck is that it's actually not very soft to flyers. It actually does quite well against flyers, as he does have 4 Midnight Haunting and 4 Lingering Soul, so he can chump block for a pretty long time if it comes down to that. He also does have 4 copies of Doom Traveler, which will make that 1/1 spirit that does fly upon its death. So, I mean, by no means is he dead to this combination of cards, but it is going to be difficult, as it looks like he's struggling with his mana a little bit.
I think he just has to play Isolated Chapel and Doom Traveler. I think he just wants to get a black mana and play in case he draws a Dreadbore. Because I don't think he has a Plains or Swamp to activate the Isolated Chapel. So, well, he decides to go with the Mountain instead. Maybe he just has Gather, but I don't know. Gather is not really going to do much. You kind of need to... I'd rather just have the black mana in case I top deck a Dreadbore, but, we'll see. He does have Hellrider, so maybe he's thinking he can erase him. It's going to be tough if he plays a Silverblade Paladin here, though. Or even a Geist.
And so here comes the Champion of the Parish there with the Spectral Flight on it. And there's your Geist-Insane Trap.
Yep. So Casey's threatening kill in 2 turns.
So let's see what Trevor's going to come up with here now. As he does have an Isolated Chapel, I think he just did draw a Blood Crypt for the turn. And then there you see it sliding to the front. To go along with the Doom Traveler, that Pillar, the Midnight Haunting, and a Hellrider.
Yeah, again, I would have liked the Gather play later in the game, because I think the Faithful Hour could actually be relevant. And now he just takes 2. I'm not sure why. You see, like, he could have played, if he had the Isolated Chapel in play last turn, he could have just played the Mountain, so he wouldn't have to take 2, and played the Midnight Haunting, because, obviously he can't attack this turn. So he's just kind of in an awkward position now.
And you can certainly tell that now the race is on, as you see a Glacial Fortress here from Casey. Trevor's hand has those 2 Hell Riders in it, and now the question is he going to get those out in play in time, as we see Precinct Captain, for them to have an effect on the game.
Yeah.
You're also going to see here.
I think it's a lead Inquisitor, and maybe he doesn't want to cast it yet. So he'll be able to trade with the Geist.
And War Falcon.
Okay. Yeah, he doesn't have enough white to cast it. So he can at least trade with the Geist, but he's still going to be taking a lot in the air.
Yeah. So what they're actually saying is that he missed the trigger for Champion of the Parish because he played Precinct Captain, then he played War Falcon, and then he went to go put the counter on the Champion of the Parish, but time had lapsed. He'd already made another play.
Yeah.
So I think a very fair ruling there.
You think without a sideboard to worry about, he'd be able to remember some of those triggers.
Can't miss those triggers.
It's tough. Those triggers, that trigger rule.
Too important.
It'll get you.
Too important for Champion of the
So he
Parish.
decides not to attack with Geist. Wants to hopefully draw either a Silverblade Paladin or another Spectral Flight, or maybe even a Rootborn Defense. That would be a great top deck for Casey.
Yeah, a card that almost assuredly Trevor would not be playing around either.
No, and he basically would get another Angel token and ensure that his entire team survives any kind of tricks that Trevor might have. Because honestly, short of a bonfire exam, I think Casey's in pretty good shape this match.
And we are going to see a Midnight Haunting here, so it feels like to me that we might see a chump block here.
Yeah, it looks like...
I'm not particularly in love with that chump block. Honestly, with blue-white deck having no reach, it doesn't really make a ton of sense to me why chump blocking at 12.
Especially if your plan is to double pillar this turn. Or he might have just drawn the pillar.
Yeah, he did just draw the pillar for the turn.
I think, yeah, I don't know why you would randomly just block there, because clearly Bonfire is going to help you, but you still need blockers.
The other thing now, too, is, you know, he does have 2 pillars in his hand, so he could double pillar the Champion of the Parish. Alternatively, I don't hate just going pillar on Precinct Captain, pillar on War Falcon, you know, taking care of those 2 guys. That's another, you know, line that he can take. Not sure if it's correct or not, and how much he cares about that 3/3 flyer.
I think that 3/3 flyer is gonna. I think it's gonna kill him. So I think he has to. It's tough. You can maybe cast Hellrider here, but again, blocking last turn really kind of limits his options. Because I think he has double Hellrider.
Yeah, he has double Hellrider in his hand. And you see he's trying to figure things out right now about how he, you know, what course of action he wants to take over this game. You know, am I going to play Hellrider? Am I going to attack with it? Am I going to go pillaring? And he's going to pillar Precinct Captain here. I think he also has that Doom Traveler still left in his hand as well. Yeah, one's near the back there. 2 Hellriders, a Pillar of Flame, and a Doom Traveler in his hand.
Yeah, you know what? The fact that I have 2 Hellriders in my hand, I really like just killing the 3/3 flyer, because now you're in a position where, okay, you have a couple of first strikers, but I can gum the board up. I have a Doom Traveler, and then if I can just get 2 Hellriders in play, I actually have, you know, a way that I can kill you. Like right now, he doesn't have a way that he can kill Casey. He's just trying to survive, but his deck's not really a survival type deck, you know? He doesn't have that many powerful spells he can top. Like Lingering Souls might be one of the better ones, but he doesn't have an Intangible Virtue. So I just think there's too many things can go wrong for Trevor. I mean, Casey can draw a Rootborn Defenses, he can draw a Silverblade Paladin to make his Geist first strike. He can draw another Spectral Flight. So I don't like this plan that Trevor's taking.
We are going to see Elite Inquisitor come into play. Casey does remember the trigger this time, so Champion of the Parish is going to move to a 4/4 as a result.
sever the bloodline and syncopate.
Now you see it coming across here in the red zone. And if we were chump blocking last turn, I feel like we're chump blocking this turn, right?
That's the thing. I think Trevor realized he made a mistake chump blocking last turn. And so now I'm not sure. I think he might want to just say, I got these 2 Hell Riders. I got to try to figure out a way to get them both into play. And then, like, if I can survive 2 turns. So I think he might take this attack, untap, play a Hell Rider, pass back. Then if Casey has another human, then he can block.
Sure.
And then he'll basically give himself 1 more turn if Casey doesn't have anything else to attack with both Hell Riders and possibly, you know, some other creatures. But decides to attack anyway, and he draws the Gather, which is actually a great draw. I think your best bet is to attack with the Doom Traveler, hope to get a block so you can get the Flyer, and play a Hell Rider. And even if you don't block, at least you chip away a little bit.
Yeah, you can play that Hell Rider pre-combat, get in there with the Doom Traveler.
To try to bait him just to get a Flyer so you can block it next turn, block the champion next turn. But then he plays a Hell Rider. If Casey has another creature, there's a chance he could get Trevor to below 5, so the Fateful Hour can matter. So then suddenly you have 5 tokens with the Hell Rider in play and another Hell Rider in your hand. You can suddenly just kill him out of nowhere.
Sure. Yeah, Fateful Hour is actually an effect that's going to change quite a few things here.
I like the attack with. You know he has an attack with.
He's an attack with Geist yet.
Okay, so I definitely don't like a pass. I think you have to attack with. You have to attack with the Hell Rider and the Doom Traveler.
Start chipping away.
Yeah, I mean, how do you expect to win?
We are ready to go. Come on up to the stage. Once again, players in Commander Pod 5, come on up to the stage.
He almost assuredly blocks the Doom Traveler if you attack with the Hell Rider too.
Now we see an attack with everybody here, so I think this is Screaming Root Board defenses here. We'll see.
Does Geist trigger? Like, does he get a Geist token if he doesn't?
If he doesn't say anything, he doesn't get the Angel token. And I don't see one on the board right now.
I think you forgot, buddy. It looks like he's going to let him get it. So he's taken 7 in the air that he can't, 8 in the air that he can't really do anything about. He's got to at least block a Geist here with the Doom Traveler. So then next, if Casey doesn't have anything else, Trevor can cast the Hell Rider, attack with 2 Hell Riders, the Doom Traveler token, and 2 soldiers, which would mean 5 triggers, which means 10 damage. And then he could technically kill Casey if Casey doesn't have another play. Which would have made an attack last turn from Trevor even better.
So we're going to see Doom Traveler jump in front here. Elite Inquisitor going unblocked as well.
His board would have been so much better if he was able to just kill that champion there.
Yeah. He could have, as you said, grinded out that Precinct Captain.
Like, you have 2 Hell Riders that Casey just can't beat. You
Players,
could have easily just done a ton of damage.
Ready to start. Come on up to the stage.
So now, if Casey doesn't have anything else, the second Hell Rider does it.
So there's your mountain. There's your second Hell Rider. And so if he attacks with every creature that he has
to. He's dead if he doesn't. So just remember the triggers and let's see what happens.
So that's 10. That's gonna be 10 damage. You're gonna put him down to 8. It looks like to me, I think that Casey still wins this one.
10, 16, 17, 18. So he can block the Hell Rider.
And it puts him down to 2.
15, 16, drops him to 2. Yep. Doesn't have a Pillar to Flame, we know that.
He's looking to gather the townsfolk in his hand with no way to stop these flying creatures.
Yeah, there's nothing he can do now. Yeah, I just think if he was able to pillar that champion earlier, I think this whole game, because look at Casey's draw, it hasn't been that good.
Yeah.
The Hell Riders could have won him the game if he just had an extra turn. Like you have a 3/3 in play, and you have two 3/3s in your hand, and you're dealing with a 2/2 and a War Falcon. That you have a Midnight Haunting token that you could have blocked anyway. I just don't get why you would. There's one card that's attacking you every single turn, and that's going to chip away at your life total, and that's the champion.
Yeah, and there's nothing that he can do about it.
Yeah.
And he had the opportunity to deal with it, as you see the final attack here from Casey. But just mismanagement of resources, mismanagement of those two Pillar of Flames by Trevor is going to lead to his demise, and you do see he does concede the game. So we're going to go to a game 3 here between Trevor and Casey. And see if Trevor can, figure out exactly what is what is beating him on the board. It's just not, just poor assessment of the board state and what the problem was.
Yeah, I think Trevor was like, am I really going to waste 2 spells on this creature? I'm like, well, yes. If it's killing you, then yes. You're not giving, people try to think about, there's no card advantage that you're gaining by killing 2 creatures with 2 spells. It doesn't matter. There's one card that is killing you. You have to figure out what your plan is going to be this game. Your plan clearly has to be around those 2 Hell Riders in your hand.
Yep.
So play the game that way, If you know you're going to win, if you know I'm going to win by casting 2 Hell Riders and getting him from 18 to 0, then play the game that way. And the only way you can get to that point is if you kill the creature that's nipping away your life total. And that's the champion. Because we already know Casey's not willing to attack with that Geist.
Yeah, he's established that over the course of a couple turns there.
You take 1 hit from a champion, a precinct champion, maybe, fine. You take 1 hit from it. Then once you get the Hell Rider, yes, there's cards that Casey could draw to still win him the game. But he doesn't need to draw anything else if he has a champion and that's killing him. So I don't like the way that Trevor played that game. It looked like he was definitely considering killing the champion, but I think last second he just decided against it, and it ended up costing him.
Obviously, Casey does not have a sideboard here, and I don't think that much really changes from Trevor from what we talked about based off of what Trevor saw that game from Casey. I still like Michaelis just like you. I still like the additional Bonfire of the Damned. You could also board in the Dreadbore. Have it so he can move up to 4 of those. When you lose a game to a creature that Dreadbore would kill, you could see, moving in that 4th one there.
Well, so. Yeah, but the things also changed. The fact that Trevor's on the play now, the Pillar would have actually killed the champion.
That's true.
So I think when you're on the play, I still would rather have the configuration that we discussed earlier with the Michaelis, and I don't think he needs 4 Dreadbore. I think he's fine. I think he's still fine. Casey got lucky, but if Trevor played correctly, he still probably wins that game, though. So yeah. I don't think I'd panic and start altering my strategy. I think Michaelis is still really good, especially on the play.
Yeah.
You want to be able to go turn 2 Michaelis, turn 3 Lingering Souls. That's a combination of cards that Casey can't deal with.
As we see Trevor leafing through his opening hand, you're going to see some red cards, you're going to see some white cards, you're going to see an Isolated Chapel. What you're not going to see is any red mana. So we're going to see if he's going to keep this hand. I mean, one of those cards is Gather the Townsfolk. You also see a Pillar there. Not sure if he has an Intangible Virtue or not.
I certainly think this deck's going to get better once Gatecrash comes out, because Intangible Virtue was banned for a reason. It's a very powerful card. You have some great token generators. I think the deck's just a solid deck, but your mana, you're going to lose to your mana a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's one reason people aren't willing to play this thing.
So both players do keep their 7 cards. Trevor's going to lead off with a Plains. Let's see if Casey has a 1-drop that he's going to start off with. He's just going to start with Glacial Fortress and pass. Which is that's a really good scenario for Trevor. Because you're going to see an Isolated Chapel.
This is a pretty terrible keep by Trevor.
Yeah, his hand doesn't really do very much.
Yeah, I don't like this keep at all. He has There's red cards that he can't cast, and the white cards that he's keeping aren't even that powerful. Like, it's not like he has an Intangible Virtue or Micaeus. I mean, those are like the two most powerful cards in his deck. Like, those are the two cards that he needs the most. He can't cast the Hellrider, which is like probably the third most powerful card in his deck.
He's a long way away from casting Hellrider.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he would risk keeping this hand, but we'll see. Hopefully he can draw out of it.
So you see Champion of the Parish there. Another red card drawn, Bonfire the Damned.
Yeah, so, you know.
And you see those red cards in his hand of Hellrider, of Bonfire, of Pillar. He plays a Plains, has the Isolated Chapel, and just has another Gather. So, I mean, unless he draws unless he draws a Intangible Virtue the next turn, it's going to be a fairly tough game for him to win, I think.
And he doesn't have Sorin, correct?
No copies of Sorin.
You know, again, I don't know why he decided to keep this hand. I think he could have afforded to go to 6. So one Precinct camped it, and suddenly none of those cards matter anymore.
Yeah.
You're all in on Intangible Virtue or Micaeus, so.
We're going to see more human tokens put into play there. Some Patrick Chapins and some Jerry T's. Hopefully we get you a token soon.
Oh, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
One ooze token for me, thank you.
Are you a star?
I'm a star, yep. Yeah. Depending on the day, I can be X 10-10 or 0-0.
And now we have a Geist of St. Trapped. It's not a Precinct Captain, but it is.
It's enough to hold off that board.
Yeah. See a draw step. We see another Bonfire.
It's like I feel like Trevor doesn't have a bad matchup. I don't know why he could afford to mulligan. He could afford to mulligan that hand.
I actually think his matchup is quite good.
Yeah, actually. I think like turn 2 Micaeus, turn 3 Lingering Souls is very good against a blue-white humans deck.
Yeah.
Like, they just can't deal with that combination of cards.
Oh.
I don't know why Trevor felt like he needed to keep this hand, or like he couldn't do better with 6 cards. You know, he had to imagine that this was a possibility. He wouldn't draw a red source.
So we do see Casey draw a card. Draws a War Falcon for the turn. We see a Moorland Haunt come into play. And are we going to see any attacks? Because it doesn't feel like he has a Spectral Flight right now. I think he would have played it by now, had he.
Yeah. If he has a human to cast, I would definitely just attack with both. Like, make him trade all his tokens. You have a Moorland Haunt in play. Because like the worst thing that could happen is he draws an Intangible Virtue. You know. So if he wants to trade all his tokens for your 2 guys, that's fine. Oh, and he has another Geist too, and he has a Silverblade Paladin. Yeah. He basically has the world here.
You are going to see Silverblade Paladin here from Casey.
I would pair with the champion and swing with both.
I would begin by triggering the champion.
Yeah, well, let's hope he remembers this time. And he didn't. So this should be... Alright, well, he remembered that trigger. So if he pairs with... I like pairing with the champion a lot more. Because you have another Geist in your hand.
Sure.
So why not be able to attack with both? He's obviously going to try to trade with the Geist, and you get in for 4, and then you just play another Geist next turn.
But we see Casey actually paired up the Silverblade with the Angel token, and you're going to see a War Falcon here post combat. He paired up with the Angel token to get in for 8 in the air. Geist traded with the human tokens. You see Isolated Chapel here drawn for Trevor. You know, if that's a red source that turn, it's huge. So he can Bonfire for 2, but it's not. And again, as you said, you have to know that when you're playing this deck, as far as his red mana, he has 4 Blood Crypts, he has 4 Clifftop Retreats, 3 Dragon Skull Summons, which wouldn't even come into play on tap right now, and then 2 Mountains. So it's not like he has a ton of red mana. He has some.
Well, the good news is that thankfully for Trevor, Casey forgot to trigger his Precinct Captain. So unless he plays 2 humans next turn, a Mountain could still be an out to cast a Bonfire for 2. Obviously, a Bonfire for 3 would be needed if he did remember. So we'll see what happens here. But, you know, Trevor's not out of it. Bonfire is powerful enough against this board particularly to still win him the game. But he's going to need to draw that red source soon.
So we know that Casey in his hand, he does have another Geist Saint Traps. He also has a War Falcon. And we do see War Falcon coming across here.
I actually, considering how, let's say, awkwardly Casey's playing this game, I think Trevor still has an easy chance to win, just because Casey is not maximizing the amount of damage he can be doing each turn.
Yeah, not at all.
He's just not even coming close to the amount of damage. He should have been attacking with a Silverblade Paladin and a champion this turn. Instead, he's just attacking with a War Falcon. Although Trevor still doesn't have the red mana, so I'm not sure if the Geist is now paired with the Silverblade. I'm assuming he did, because with only 2 tokens, or maybe he probably just gonna go for the
With
kill
the
next
Angel
turn.
again. Yeah.
Go with the Angel and kill him.
Casey takes a draw. Casey draws a Knight of Glory. Going with that War Falcon, Elite Inquisitor.
Yeah, so unless he puts him on Tragic Flip or something, I think it's safe to just trigger the Angel, Soul Bond it, and kill him in the air.
As you see Casey rearranging his mana, figuring out what he wants to do for this turn. Feels like we're going to see a Knight of Glory here pre-combat, and we are.
That's odd if his plan is to Soul Bond the token. Do we know if did he Soul Bond the Geist?
I don't know. We can get confirmation for you from our spotter down there at the table to know exactly if there is a Soul Bond or not.
Because if he didn't, and his plan is to Soul Bond the Angel, why would you attack? Why would you play a Knight of Glory before? Yeah. So it looks like no, I don't think he. I think he might have Soul Bonded the Geist. Or no, it looks like he's just doing that now. So Trevor still has an out, thankfully, because Casey decided not to attack with the War Falcon, so he has an out. Let's see if we can get exciting here.
Blood Crypt?
It's not Blood Crypt. I don't think it's, let's hope it is
Blood Crypt. So Blood Crypt coming?
What is it? Oh, ooh.
Midnight.
Well,
if he attacks like he did last turn.
If he attacks like he did last turn, let's see what's going on. I find it hard to believe that he's only going to attack with 1 creature. His opponent's at 2. Unless there's a black... Did Orzhov make a fog that I'm not aware of?
That became legal for this tournament.
I hope he attacks the same way, because I really want to see a top deck clip top retreat. But short of that, I don't see Trevor winning this game.
Showing a little bit of weakness.
A little bit of weakness.
Passing the turn back.
Weakness.
You can see
he really needed a Gather 1000 right there. Please just attack with Geist. No.
Here they all come. Here they all come.
Coming. Oh shucks.
Even the Angel.
Even the Angel
with the Soul Bond. You see Trevor with a handful of red cards, no red mana, and a Midnight Haunting. That unfortunately cannot save him.
So close. Bonfire is a good sideboard card in this matchup if you can cast it.
It's true. The window was open for Bonfire to be a beating in this matchup too.
Definitely. The game could have easily swung around.
Yeah.
But didn't quite get there.
And in a moment here, Trevor will come to the same realization we do, in that Casey Stahl without a sideboard.
Yeah. Trevor probably said, "Look how unlucky I got.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't draw any mountains."
See Dreadbore, Pillar, Flame, Blood Crypt. Yep, little ways to go. Casey Stahl moves on to 4-0. 15 extra cards. 15 extra cards. Don't need them.
Don't need them.
No sideboard necessary to be 4-0.
He's playing Iron Man magic.
That's right. It's the way the game was meant to be played.
Although, in all honesty, if you're going to play a deck without a sideboard, it's going to be a deck like this. Like a deck that just attacks every single turn. I don't care what you do.
Yeah, without question. That's what you're going to do.
He's even got one cameo to sort of like, maybe I'll play against a control deck.
No.
2 Reborn defenses. Like, yeah.
A little bit of hedging here, a little bit of hedging there.
I hope he makes top 8.
Set the world on fire.
Set the world on fire. The best is if he starts a trend and people just stop playing sideboards.
Well, we've seen in some of our Legacy tournaments, oddly enough, Belcher being a popular deck in Legacy. Yes. I know that there was someone at, I don't remember exactly what tournament it was, but playing 15 different intelligent sideboards. No need for a sideboard. Also, we had a Belcher player topping with 15 islands in the sideboard. So